Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can use ChatGPT or other, AI chatbots like Google Gemini or Copilot from Microsoft. I'm going to show you how you can use it to help you with your writing, but more importantly, to help you learn so that you can improve your writing and, not make the same mistakes and so on. I think there's nothing wrong with using ChatGPT for, writing emails, doing homework or whatever. But the key is you have to make sure that you're actually learning from it and not just letting ChatGPT make the changes and then you just copy and paste it and then you forget about it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take an example of a free writing. So I'm going to copy this and you can take a look in the notes as well. But what I'm going to do is paste it here. So I'm going to say, here is my writing. And I'm going to say, please tell me how I can improve it. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to put it here. So if you want to read the original in more detail, just take a look at the notes, okay? So first of all, ChatGPT is telling me what I'm doing well. So it's saying, again, you can look at these details later, but it's telling me what I'm doing well. But it's also going to give me some advice on organization and content, so how to make it better. And it's giving me paragraph by paragraph help. Okay. So for example, you can help the reader by adding short guiding phrases like, at the time, I didn't think much about it, looking back now because of this moment. So that's great. Um, it's giving me language and grammar suggestions. So my neighbors see me and laugh a little and ask if I need help. So it's giving me help with verb tense. My neighbors saw me and laughed a little and asked if I needed help. So it's helping me with past tense. It's helping me with articles. So he was carrying a box or something. So, or something similar, okay? Run-ons and long sentences. Okay, so what it's doing here is it took this long sentence and it suggested breaking it up into two slightly shorter sentences. Better rhythm, right, as I mentioned here. Okay, and it's giving me a revised version as well. So what I can do, for example, is I can ask other questions too, right? I can say, I'm an ESL student. Please explain how I can improve this writing. I want to learn from using ChatGPT. Okay, so it's saying make long ideas into clear sentences. So you often put many ideas into one long sentence. Am I saying more than one idea here? If yes, split the sentence. So again, it's giving me that original sentence, which was quite long, and you can pause the video to read it. And then it's giving me an improved version, which is splitting it, okay? Keep verb tense consistent when telling a story. You sometimes mix present tense and past tense. Aha, okay. My neighbors see me and laugh a little and ask if I need help. Okay, so we need to fix the tenses. Okay, so again, it's explaining these things. And there's a lot of other suggestions here as well. Connect actions to feelings clearly. Okay, showing cause and effect. Okay, so maybe we can use more of these words. Because, this made me feel, as a result, that's why, and so on. So the original sentence, this small moment feels important now. This small moment feels important to me now because it made me feel like I belong here. So it's asking me to give more information. So there's a lot of things we can do. Here's another thing I can do. I can say, I want to sound more natural. What can I change? And please explain them, these changes. So maybe I want to sound more natural, okay? So it's giving me more advice here. So it's asking me to summarize my thinking more. Okay. I'm using a lot of and in the original writing. Okay, so maybe we can use more while, when, because, and but. So I was tired and thinking about many things, and my neighbor was in the hallway, and he was carrying a box. Okay, so here's a more natural suggestion. I was tired and thinking about a lot of things when I saw my neighbor in the hallway carrying a box. Okay, so it's asking me to use less and trying to use other words to connect everything. It's asking me to add phrases like at the time, later that night, looking back, what stayed with me was. Okay. So when this happened, I didn't think much about it at the moment. Here's a more natural way to say it. At the time, I didn't think much about it. Okay, so it's basically the same meaning, but cleaner, as it says here. Okay, so again, some more suggestions. One more thing I'll add is if you use ChatGPT or another LLM or chatbot to help you revise your writing, I want you to add this phrase as well. Please revise my original writing to make it sound more natural and organized, but please do not change, remove, or add any ideas. Okay, so one thing you do need to remember when using ChatGPT is that it will add, remove, or change some of your ideas. And this can be a problem because it may say something that you did not originally intend it to. Okay, so it's giving me a revised version, which you will see in the notes. And it's telling me what it changed. Okay, so that's basically it. I mean, there's a lot of other things you can do with it, but the basic idea is you're using ChatGPT to help you and not just to do everything for you, but to actually explain the changes that it's making so that you can learn from them. And hopefully, you'll be writing this down in your notebook or something so that you can do it by yourself in the future. And remember, one more thing I should say is that even though you're using ChatGPT for your writing, if you're using it to help you learn, it's also going to help you when you're speaking, right? So if ChatGPT is explaining the changes that it's making, um, you can take those ideas, write them in your notebook, and then when you're talking to somebody in the future, you can use those same skills, right? Or when you're watching TV or whatever, listening to the radio, you're going to see that vocabulary and so on. Maybe I'll give you one more example. Um, can you revise it, but use more phrasal verbs and idioms? Okay. Please explain any changes. Okay, we'll just do one more. So a lot of students want to learn more phrasal verbs and idioms. So you can take your original writing and just ask ChatGPT to add those things. And then you can also learn from them as well and write them in your notebook and then use them in a conversation, for example. Okay, so you can see this revised version later in the notes in more detail. But it's also giving me a list of those changes. So keep thinking about, keeps coming back to me. Not a big thing, not a big deal. Stays in my head, can't quite shake it. Thinking about many things, lost in my thoughts. See my neighbor, ran into my neighbor, that's interesting. Busy, swamped, so that's a good one. Changed my mood, lifted my mood, so improved my mood, meaning feeling better, so that's interesting. Okay, maybe one more thing you can add is, okay, let's try and make it more academic now. This is for a class essay. Okay, last one though. Last change. Okay, so maybe you want to think about how to make your writing a little bit more academic or professional or like for business purposes or whatever. So you can do the same thing, but just ask ChatGPT to explain those changes. So for example, big thing, it changed it to significant. Kind of alone, changed it to occasionally lonely. Nice, changed it to pleasant. Changed my mood. okay, had a positive effect on my mood. It's giving more transitions and so on. Again, you can read this in more detail in the notes. But the idea here is that you want to start with your original writing. You want to start with your original ideas. Then you want to use ChatGPT to help you improve it, but you give it specific instructions. And more importantly, you have to learn from those changes so that you can use them by yourself in the future, not just for writing, but also for conversations and when you're watching TV and listening to people and so on, or reading. Okay, we'll end it here. I want to keep it short, but all of the information will be available in the transcript and the notes.